Malema has maintained that this case is a political witch hunt against him. His co-accused, Adrian Snyman, was acquitted of the charges due to a lack of evidence.
And here we are again. Another individual who seems powerful to me and to the people that know. We may argue whether or not, if or not he is, or I believe he is part of that group. I mean, I don't want to say too much. But what is actually going on? I feel this is an example of the elites, or this thing I've always said before, nothing special, but something about how these elites or these people, how consequences doesn't really exist in their reality. You know what I mean? But what is actually going on with this Malema case, right? And why should you even give a fuck? In fact, why should you even care about it? How does that affect your life, man? I don't know, bro, but I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, I find it overwhelming. You know what I'm saying? I find it overwhelming that there's a small amount of people, there's a small group of individuals that can do whatever they want. This isn't something new. This isn't something we've never heard of, something we've never seen. But I'm overwhelmed by the amount of people seemingly that is basically able to do whatever without any consequences. Let's move on. So a lot is happening, no doubt, right? A lot is happening. And if you're like me, you probably weren't even aware of this. Well, you were, but you didn't go into that. So here's what's going. So Julius Malema was convicted on October 2025 offenses under the Firearms Control Act after firing a rifle into the air at a crowded EFF rally in 2018. The charges included unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition, reckless endangerment, and discharging a firearm in a public space. But what's crazy to me, what I find crazy or hard to believe, is the fact that it was a toy. We don't hear of anyone being hurt or anything like that, but let's go on. So, as of late January 2026, Malema appeared in the East London Magistrate Court for pre-sentencing proceedings. Sentencing has been postponed to the late date, now reported to be April 15, 2026, so the final penalty is still pending. Do you see what's going on, bro? It's always the case with these high-profile people, bro. The cases, I don't know if this is just the South African law. I honestly don't care, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, when I look at what I see around it, the stories I hear of people that, I don't know, it may be different, but you've probably come across the stories, especially in Malema or next to such horrible places. You know, not saying that Ikasi is horrible, but it is a horrible place to grow up. That's just my opinion, not offending anybody. But when someone shoots or stabs someone, it's almost like it takes a few weeks and then the person is in prison if caught, right? And then with these people, it's always like postponed, and then the next thing you know, it's almost like the whole nation has forgotten about it in an instant. Bro, it's almost like we get brainwashed. I don't know, it's a slow death. You know what I'm saying? It's a slow death, and only for somebody else to do, some person, I don't want to say it's a gifted individual, to raise it up, and then it's a whole problem again. You know what I'm saying? But so the court is reviewing reports from both defense, which wants a non-custody outcome, whatever, and the prosecution, bro. This guy faces a potential jail term that could be up to 15 years under the Firearms Act or Control Act, though courts often consider mitigation factors before deciding. Do you understand what this means, bro? So if Malema is sentenced to more than 12 months imprisonment without the option of a fine, this could disqualify him from serving in parliament for 5 years under South Africa's constitution. And another thing I found interesting about South Africa's law, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like, you know how you told as a kid that once you get a criminal record, bro, you're not gonna get a job anyway. It's gonna be difficult for you, boy. You've heard those stories before, right? And I mean, it seems true. Why is it that when you go onto job websites and you get you find a match, and it's always like must have matric certificate, driver's license, maybe forklift or something like that, and must not have a criminal record or criminal offense. Yet, I tell you right now, we have criminals in the government, people who are actually running the government in real time, criminals that the whole country is aware of. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to mention names that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if you think of a minister of sport, like, not saying anything, but like, isn't he a convicted ex-convict? You know what I'm saying? I was about to say felon, but isn't he an ex-convict? I don't even know what that means. You know what I'm saying? And he's somehow, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, there's a sort of a double standard. Maybe there's something I'm missing. You know what I'm saying? There's stuff I'm not understanding. So Malema is supposed to frame the prosecution as politically motivated and racially skewed, especially after AfriForum's involvement in this thing. You know what I'm saying? Arguing it targets him as a black radical leader challenging the status quo. I almost said QO. So large numbers of EFF supporters, of course, separately, right? Another thing is that separately, Malema has previously been involved in hate speech rulings, which is not being charged with yet. I don't understand, bro. Including an Equality Court decision, August 2025, finding him guilty of hate speech based on inflammatory political remarks. And what were the consequences? No. What were the consequences? You say something stupid online, let your boss find out and see what happens to you. See what you're going to eat in the next 2 months, if you're that lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand, bro. There may not be a connection, but like, how does this affect you? I asked this question already. How does this affect you? First thing you gotta understand, something that I've noticed, that you live in a world that is unfair. A world that only favors a small amount of people. And this isn't even a conspiracy. I feel like everybody feels it. You know, the fact that people are able to go to work and complain that, you know what I'm saying? The fact people are able to complain in such ways, I feel like it's a subconscious, I don't know, I feel like people, it's almost like people don't know that they know that there's a group. You know what I'm saying? I'm also in the group. But I'm just like, you gotta understand that this world, it seems like consequences don't affect these people. And I don't know where I'm going with this, because it's frustrating, bro. It's frustrating. How can we... But anyways, bro. Now we got EFF people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have so many problems. This isn't even about Malema specifically or per se. I'm just like, the level of crime and corruption in this country is so, should I say, dire now. It's so messed up. I feel like we've rotten to the core. Some serious cleansing, if such works, is going to be needed ASAP. Because come on now, if a person has committed a crime and found guilty by individuals who have some sort of power, that's because they went to uni and they have experience. If a person has been found guilty by the law, some law that we both don't know, then I feel like everybody should face the consequences, isn't it? Isn't that how you maintain law and order? But again, you tend to realize that, hey man, law and order is for the peasants. Law and order is for the low level, low class, poor individuals like you and I, and not for the rich necessarily. I just find it interesting that if I put it simply, right, I just find it interesting that when you're going to go to prison and come out and not be able to find a job because of a criminal record, but whole criminals, people who are masterminds, are able to run the country and are effectively still running the country. If I were to make that assumption, it's just so fascinating. It's just so fascinating. And the fact that it split the country into two is just nonsense.